But let's be clear on this point. It wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted in the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued. So, Martha, people can read the indictment, and frankly, I've said before, I had hoped it had not come to this point.
Mike Pence has turned on Donald Trump finally after the third indictment has come down surrounding his issues with January 6th, the way that he coordinated fake electors. There's so many things in this indictment now that Mike Pence apparently has found some new confidence, a.k.a. potential legal issues, to finally turn on Donald Trump. This gaggle of crackpot attorneys of his. Man, Mike Pence is all over the place, but he wasn't even done. What else you got, Mike?
The American people deserve to know that President Trump and his advisors didn't just ask me to pause. They asked me to reject votes, return votes, essentially to overturn the election and to keep faith with the oath that I made to the American people and to Almighty God. I rejected that out of hand, and I did my duty that day.
Not only that, they asked him to reject votes, to overturn votes. He's laying it all there out on the line now. Suddenly, it's all different, and he said he rejected it out of hand. So it lets me wonder, where does this newfound honesty and reality come from when it comes to Mike Pence? Is he trying to reposition himself in this presidential race since he finds himself around the 1% to 2% area, and maybe this new Mike Pence will be something that the Republican voters can finally grab onto? Either way it goes, he said the American people, though, need to know. They deserve to know. Now they deserve to know. They didn't deserve to know back here.
And as our election contest continues, I'll make you a promise. We're going to keep fighting until every legal vote is counted. We're going to keep fighting until every illegal vote is thrown out. We're going to win Georgia, we're going to save America, and we'll never stop fighting to make America great again. You watch.
Oh, I'm going to keep watching, Mike. And it appears that the fight might be beginning to wind down, or maybe it's winding back up. It all depends on the way Trump may respond to this and the rest of MAGA. But still, Martha McCallum is actually talking to Mike Pence this whole time, and maybe she's beginning to test the winds and see where things are going. But she's still a little bit conflicted because she still isn't sure where the crime might be.
One of the other things that I think is really at issue here is the issue of presidential powers. What does the president have the right to do? What does he have the right to say? So you're looking into statements that the president said, he was being convinced by his attorneys, and obviously he was listening to the attorneys that he wanted to listen to because other people were telling him the exact opposite. But is there a crime here is the question.
It seems like McCollum realizes that there's an issue here with which attorneys Trump was listening to. She admitted it right there, but then still isn't sure where the crime is. Let's allow Jessica Tarloff from The Five to give her that answer.
Jack Smith was very careful to make sure that the way that this indictment was laid out made it so that speech continued to be protected. Donald Trump had every right to continue to say, this is fake, there's fraud, blah, blah, blah. What he didn't have a right to do was to act on it. And that's where the crimes were actually committed.
It's kind of crazy that people like Jessica Tarloff had to explain to these guys that it's not about the thoughts in Donald Trump's mind. It's not the thoughts that he had about his election being lost. You can be sad about losing the election all you want. You can even question it. And then after 18 to 20 different hearings and court trials and judges tell you that's BS, get out of my face, maybe at some point you have to realize that you lost, which he did. It was all put down there in this entire indictment, talking about what he knew. Tarloff wasn't even done explaining this to the rest of the five co-hosts. And then as the truth kept flowing out, you'll see here that they had to start drowning her out. That's the only way they can fight back.
So what is new in this indictment versus the January 6th committee work is Mike Pence is a big part of this. So he took copious notes through the entire process, which includes a conversation that he had with Donald Trump, where Donald Trump, after asking him to overturn the election, to not do his job at certifying it, he says to Mike Pence, you're too honest. When someone says you're too honest, that means that you want them to do the dirty thing, that you want them to do the bad thing. Then on page 15
you can disagree with that. You can disagree with that, but you don't arrest somebody over it.
But you can't disagree with the fact that he knew that he had lost the election because everyone in Christendom...
You're going to try to say that Donald Trump knew he lost.
There's no way.
They're going to try to prove that in court, Jessica. There's no way he's going to be proven that he knew he lost. He still thinks he's president.
Well, then the insanity defense is available.
It's more of the saying, buying into their own BS. The same talking points they've been pushing to convince their audience that all this is on the up and up. Everything Donald Trump says is correct and true. It's something that they now have to buy into when they have arguments with the facts. And look how they come out looking. There's another presidential candidate, Ron DeSantis. Maybe he's trying to position himself in this as Mike Pence is, but I get the feeling that DeSantis is positioning himself in another bad spot.
The reality is a Republican, a D.C. jury would indict a ham sandwich and convict a ham sandwich if it was a Republican ham sandwich. I think Americans need to be able to remove cases out of D.C. I think the juries are stacked. I think that they're going to want to convict people that they disagree with. Or at a minimum, you should be able to draw a jury pool from across the entire country.
Sure. Ham sandwiches and roll up our sleeves and insert the next hackneyed political line over and over and over again. At some point, Ron DeSantis has to finally understand that some level of authenticity has to come through for him. By the way, Jessica Tarloff here finished off the whole thing as she was battling with the rest of these hosts on The Five. As she gives the evidence, we find more and more that they just can't listen to it.
On page 15 of the indictment, for instance, they talk about what happened in Georgia. And co-conspirator number 2, who we know is Rudy Giuliani now, tells Donald Trump, the defendant, this is a fraudulent accusation at this point, and then he still went ahead and pushed it.
Maybe he disagreed.
That's an example.
So it's like the Russian collusion thing when Schiff goes in there and gets a briefing and then comes out and says
all
there's collusion.
I have heard from you is Hillary Clinton, Russia collusion. You cannot move on with your life. Move on. You got a new indictment.
Move on. This is a 2.5-year-old story.
No. It's not. There's new information. We didn't have anything from Mike Pence.
You could just
the
create
fake
new
elector scheme is
Not fake.
committing
They were
crimes.
Trump electors.
And also some of his strongest defenders, like Andy McCarthy, wrote this piece in the National Review, which got taken apart.
I have 2 other people at the table.
I know, I'm
aching
so
to
rude.
speak.